Welcome back. Oh my god, I never used to understand when YouTubers would say this, but I've actually missed you guys. Those of you that have seen the videos over the last few weeks, you'll know that there's been quite a lot of change going on, and so my schedule has changed quite a lot. So I did actually miss out a video last week because, you know, there's just so much transition going on. But literally, it just feels like so long since I've managed to actually get my camera on and talk. So yeah, I absolutely get it now. I'm all for transition. I think transition is great. I thrive when I'm transitioning. I'm not scared of transition. I actually really embrace the change. And it's really strange because I think that it's quite natural to not want to change or to feel a little bit anxious about change approaching. But once the change is happening, you're actually in it, I just find it so energizing and motivating. So yeah. Anyway, I'm going to be talking to you about my fitness journey. Now, I did say that I was going to be talking about this in my Boot Avenue Fitness wear review. And I think if you looked at my videos for any amount of time, you might have noticed that I was carrying a little bit more weight in that video, and it was 100% deliberate. As you can see today, I'm actually wearing like a really baggy boiler suit. Because right about now, it is literally just about finding clothes that fit. I'm not even gonna lie. So no, do you know what? I'm exaggerating. I'm also very good at that. But I have deliberately been trying to put on some weight over the past few weeks. Not even necessarily trying to put on weight, but I've been intentionally increasing my calories in order to gain some muscle mass and some strength. Predominantly strength, because I am a powerlifter, and so that is the whole reason behind doing a bulk. Bulking and cutting is something that we quite regularly see and hear about in the fitness space, but I'm just going to give you a quick rundown about what bulking is. So what bulking is essentially is deliberately increasing your calorie intake in order to gain weight, to gain strength, or to gain muscle mass, or all three. My powerlifting training is starting to get really intense. The weights are going up, the frequency's going up, and so it does take quite a lot out of my body. Other than that, as I also mentioned in that 75 hard video, my immune system had taken quite a hit just because of the training, not eating in a surplus. So I'd literally been eating at either maintenance or lower, because, you know, body goals and that. So because I spent a prolonged time in that state while increasing my training intensity, while starting a new job, you know, all these like layers of stress factors kind of coming in and not increasing my calorie intake to match it, my immune system took a hit, and yeah, as I said in my previous video, I got quite ill. And so I just decided it was time to kind of take my foot off the gas in terms of like trying to diet, trying to cut, trying to maintain my physique, and just really sort of like go and focus on trying to gain that strength, and also just kind of like rebuild my body and just kind of like give it a bit of a break. Stop, you know, trying to make it run at 100 miles per hour without putting any fuel in the tank. So for me, that was a perfect time for me to start a bulk. The benefits of bulking, I would say, as I've mentioned already, are definitely the increase in strength. But what that might mean for you is that you just got more endurance and more energy. And also, of course, while we're building muscle mass, we're going to be building like that nice curvy body. So for me, I'm really sort of focused on building up my shoulders a little bit, building up my glutes and my quads to give me that nice hourglass shape that I prefer. So if that is something that you have been considering, or maybe you've been like working out for a little while, trying to get those booty gains, and you're not really seeing the result, then doing a bulk or eating in a calorie surplus would definitely be something worth looking at. Now that does sound like common sense, but I think that as women in particular, we can be so focused on keeping our bodies slim and not going out of control, not gaining, you know, lots of weight, that we are, you know, reluctant to eat those extra calories and get that extra body fat on. But the only thing is with bulking is that you kind of need to be able to shift your mindset into that space of knowing that you are going to gain a bit of weight, you are going to lose a bit of definition. It is a process, and at the end of it, you are going to get what you want. The main thing to consider is that nothing is permanent when it comes to your body. So yes, you might be looking a little bit fluffier, a little bit less defined for like 6, 8, 10 weeks. But providing you do the bulk carefully and you don't just like, you know, go off on some like dirty bulk, which I'll go into in a minute, providing you do what you need to do during the bulk, you are not going to gain excessive amounts of fat. And not only that, when you do diet down, it is going to be a little bit easier and you are going to have a better physique at the end of it. So I think the main thing that I'm trying to put across here is that, yes, it can be uncomfortable. I'm going to talk about my personal experience with it in a moment. But yes, that process can be a little bit uncomfortable, but you just need to remember why you're doing it and that it's not permanent. Moving on to my personal experience with it. As I've mentioned in a couple of videos, and you might be able to, gauge by now if you've been watching the channel for a little while, but just because of the way my personality is and just the way my lifestyle's set up, I am all over the place. Like, I'm literally running here, there and everywhere. I'm spinning so many plates and I wouldn't have it any other way. But essentially, I literally haven't eaten in a calorie surplus for years, not sort of like intentionally. Of course, there's like periods around Christmas and probably just Christmas really, where you're sort of like, you kind of like fall off and you know that you've fallen off and you're okay with falling off. But it's been a very long time since I've deliberately and methodically increased my calories in line with increasing my training. So when I got run down and sick, I knew intuitively that it wasn't what I needed to do. My body was just like, look, you got me doing all these things, but you're not giving me the fuel that I need. So I knew that it was just time to kind of like, take my body out of survival mode, give it a bit of a treat and a restoration basically. And that's something that I see time and time again with women. We don't take into account what our bodies are actually doing and if those calories are enough. All we know is that if we eat these amount of calories, then we're going to kind of stay in our genes that we like or whatever. The only thing is with that, if you are regularly exceeding those calories in terms of your activity and in terms of like what your body just needs in order to function, all that's going to happen is the metabolism is going to slow down. You're going to stop getting the results that you want. The muscle building is going to stop, along with a few other really undesirable effects. So things like, your hair might start to thin, your cycle might get disrupted, your skin's not going to be looking amazing. Lots and lots of things that are nothing to do with like any sort of like body goals or fitness goals. But if you are sort of noticing any of these sorts of things, it might be worth like looking at how many calories you're eating and seeing if it's time to go into a temporary and controlled increase of calories. So outside of body goals, for me personally, I was finding that my circulation wasn't as good as it could be. So my hands and feet were always cold. I was like more stressed. I was sort of like always like, quite stressed. But to be honest, I didn't even notice that until I started to eat more food. Because I'm so used to sort of like being on that tightrope, I am quite comfortable sort of like running on adrenaline. And the only thing is with running on adrenaline is that it's not excellent for your metabolism. And also it can make you a little bit aggy, do you know what I mean? So until I started to eat more food, that I started to feel more relaxed. I wasn't worrying about tracking this, that and the other. I just generally started to relax, I just started to release the reins and it just felt really, really good. So I noticed that I'm sleeping better, my concentration is much better, and I'm just generally feeling calmer and just like a little bit more chilled. So the downsides for me so far is that I've definitely gained more than the recommended amount, which is meant to be anywhere between 1 to 2 pounds a week. And also just because of my phase of training at the moment, I am in a strength phase, not a muscle building phase. And so the weight is heavy, but the reps are low. I don't feel like I'm sort of like breaking a sweat when I train. It's hard, but I'm not like breaking a sweat when I train. And I'm also keeping cardio to a minimum at the moment, just because I'm in a strength phase, so I need to make sure that I'm recovering between my sessions. The next phase that I go into, which will come in before the end of the bulk, it is going to be more of a muscle building phase. I will add in some cardio then. And I'm also going to start to bring my carbs down a little bit as well. So with those things in place, I do feel like over the next 6 weeks, my weight will start to stabilize. I will start to see more of the results that I want. At the moment, I'm definitely seeing more fat gain than muscle gain. But as I say, once I sort of like put these little things in place, I do feel like I'm going to start to see more muscle coming on and less fat coming on. And that's not to say that I'm going to be burning fat and building muscle at the same time, because that is not going to be possible while we're bulking. But I do feel like the sort of fat gain is going to plateau, and hopefully the muscle gain is going to start to increase. So far I've gained 4 kilos, which is a little bit more than I should have gained at this point of the bulk. But this week, just by making sure that I'm getting 10,000 steps a day, I'm still not doing lots of cardio, but I have been more consistent in making sure I'm getting my 10,000 steps a day. And just by doing that, I'm noticing that I've got less water retention, and my weight has come down like a few 100 grams. So I'm confident that, you know, going forward that it's going to either stabilize or it might even come down a little bit. So by the end of the bulk, I'm hoping that I haven't gained much more weight, but I definitely hope to see an improvement in the actual shape of my body. I'll definitely do another video at the end of the bulk just to show you what my final results of the bulk are, and maybe talk about what I'm going to be doing going forward, so we can look at the cut as well. But overall, I have to say that this has definitely been the most educational bulk that I've done. I've been so much more meticulous about making notes, tracking everything, and just, you know, not flying by the seat of my pants. As I say, what doesn't get measured doesn't get managed. So just don't be scared about tracking everything, making notes about how things make you feel. Not just like physique and weight changes. We're talking about mood changes. We're talking about energy level changes, changes in your sleep, stuff like that. It's all really good data that is going to sort of like help you when you decide to do a bulk the next time, and just to generally get the most out of the process, because at the end of the day, it's not always a comfortable process. I can tell you that now. Looking in the mirror and not, you know, seeing your lines and seeing the shape that you're used to, it can be a bit of a mental challenge. So at the end of the day, if we are going to put ourselves through that, might as well get the most out of it. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and with that I'm going to leave you now because it's probably time that I eat again. But thank you for watching, stay tuned. I'm so excited about this journey. Have you done a bulk before? Did it go well? Did it go badly? Have you got any tips or tricks that you want to share? Nobody's journey is the same, so it's always worth sharing your experience. I will be doing a few more videos around this bulking season, so I'm going to be doing one about how I train, maybe like a full day of eating, that sort of stuff. So if you like that sort of thing, stay tuned, subscribe, and until next time, I'll see you next time.